Well, hi guys, welcome back to Linda's Pantry. And as you saw in the thumbnail, it's Spamtember. Yes, it is. I'm super excited to bring you along for my spam recipe. Mary Ellen invited me again this year to be a part of this, and I love this collaboration. It's just a week, but all week long. So it started yesterday, and today is my day. So I'm going to be using bacon spam, but I'm going to be, as you saw in the title, I am making candied bacon Cowboy cornbread. So I am going to put some Cowboy candy in there, as well as all the good things that you normally put in cornbread. It's going to be delicious. I can't wait to bring you along. So come on in, let's do it. Okay, so all the information on the video is down in the description box below. So any information that Mary Ellen wants us to tell you is right down there. And look at this, bacon flavored spam. So bacon and cornbread go hand in hand. And I'm just gonna open this bad boy up, and I'm gonna cut this up myself. I was going to use the spam slicer, but I don't want the pieces quite that small. So you kind of have to get some air pocket in between your spam and the side of the container. That's how it helps it get it out. So if you just get some air in there. And spam is such a good prepping item to have on hand, because if we were just to have this as our meat for the night, this would feed us for at least 2 meals, if not 3. But you can stretch this and put it in things that you maybe wouldn't have thought of. So clean hands, we're going to cut this up into chunks. I want pretty substantial. I want you to know that there's a piece of meat there, but it's going to be candied in brown sugar. It's going to be so good. And I am going to be using bacon fat in my cast iron pan for the cornbread itself. And this is going to make a pretty big batch, so I may end up doing some extra. Maybe I'll do another pan of the cornbread. And so I'm just going to stack these up like a little playing cards, a deck of cards here. Hopefully you guys can see that good enough. And about, not quite a ½ inch in cubes, up to you how you do it. But it does shrink down as you cook this, so you're going to get some shrinkage, and you'll have some snack shrinkage. Some of it's going to disappear, I promise. Okay, and this spam's been around a long time, and some people love it or hate it. But I think if you do it right, if you just had to eat this, no, I'm not going to do that. But I can incorporate it into recipes, and all the recipes are just fantastic. So it was a toss-up between another sweet thing. Last year I did cookies that were wonderful. Nobody knew it was spam. So you want a chunk. This is a nice chunk, and it's going to shrink down a little bit, but very nice. Okay. And, yep, there we go. Get the rest of this cut up. Look at that. That's a lot of meat. That could probably do 3 meals. If you did like a casserole, you need casserole that you are going to put ham or bacon in. This can be a replacement for that, and that would be more than enough, and you could feed a huge crowd and do a 9x13. And I keep just throwing it around. 9x13. So this is going to go over to the stovetop, and we're going to get to browning this. I'm going to need a little bit of bacon fat in my pan, and I'll bring you there. All right, so we are back on here with this. I put a little bit of bacon fat just to get it started, about a teaspoon, just to get this started. And I have my cast iron pie plate, but I also brought out my bread pan. My oven's preheated, and as soon as I need to, I will preheat those pans, because that's super important when you're doing cornbread. You have to preheat that pan. So we're going to get this cooking down. As soon as this starts getting brown, then, Oh, what's going to happen? You know, brown sugar. So I'm going to take some paper toweling and slather up some bacon grease and get my pan done while that's started to cook. Because I like to preheat my cast iron in the oven so it is ready to pour that mixture in. And I might need a little bit more. So I make cornbread with bacon and cheese and Cowboy candy and all that. But I thought, oh, Spam is the next best thing. And it's economical. You wouldn't get this much meat out of a pound of bacon. You would get that much flavor, but it wouldn't be as economical. So that's one of the reasons we're going to go with this. Oh, man, overboard. Oh, no. Get it. Don't burn yourself. There we go. Okay. We'll just keep cooking and I'll show you what's up. So while that is cooking, we are going to get to work on the Cowboy candy. And I'm just going to give you a small review here. So year before last, not last year, but the year before, I did Cowboy candy and I chopped all the jalapenos in with the Vidalia Chop Wizard. And I was able to just use it. This was rings, and it was easier to cut up all the jalapenos because I did the rings. But if you get a piece of jalapeno, it's huge, and so it makes that a hot bite, and I don't want that. So I'm going to put it in the chopper and chop them up. I could just put them on a cutting board, but this is kind of sticky and messy, and I don't want to do that. So I want the brine in there as well. So there you go. And I'm just going to tell you, Cowboy candy is so good. It's tangy and spicy all in one fell swoop. So good. Okay. Let's get to making some. I'm going to keep the jar out because I probably will not use this full jar. Because I don't want this too spicy. The focus is not the Cowboy candy, it's the candied Spam. I want this to complement the Spam. Not to say, move over. Okay, let's see what we got. Oh yeah, so it's nice and chopped up, and I'll be able to discern how much I need. Some of it is still a little bit big, but I'll pick and choose when I dish it in there. Makes my mouth water. It's so good. Let's get over to the stove and see what's going on over there. We have Spam browning. Oh yeah. Once you get a nice brown on all sides, then you can start the candy part, but we still have a little bit to go. It takes a little bit of effort and time to do this, but this is a trick I do if I have a man overboard, gets down between the burners. Get a toothpick or a bamboo skewer, poke it, and then it doesn't sit there. Anyways, okay, let's get to candy and some Spam. Okay, so I've got a little bit of brown on all of that. It's really coming along real nice. I think that's perfect. You do get a little bit of shrinkage, which is normal. Any protein is going to shrink on you as it cooks and tighten up. So I'm going to go ahead and start the candied process. So I've got my brown sugar here. Sorry. I've got my brown sugar, And I've got my 4 jars measuring cups today. This is 1/3 of a cup. We're probably going to need a little bit more. I don't know. It'll help counteract some of that. There's going to be some honey in the cornbread, and then the Cowboy candy has a little bit of sugar, but we're going to let this kind of get to turning into some caramelized goodness. Yeah, we're going to need a little bit more brown sugar. So if I had to give you a measurement, we're going to say 1/2 cup. Okay? 1/2 cup. Doesn't have to be packed, but that's about what we got. My 1/2 cup measure is over there for something else. So we're just going to let this simmer down, and that sugar will dissolve and liquefy and as it heats up and caramelize and become just delicious on this Spam. So we're going to be patient right now. And I'm going to put this away and yum. So I just wanted to let you know I put 1/3 of a cup of water in here, and we're just going to let that cook down, and then it will caramelize a whole lot easier than just leaving the sugar to turn into liquid. This helps it along. It also helps that Spam to absorb some of that. So this is just going to cook until that water evaporates, and then we'll have a sticky gooey yum. Okay, let's go mix up our batter. Okay, so I wanted to show you, this is what you want. This is, you got bubbly caramel. It's just a sticky gooey. Oh, yes, that is what you want. And I'm going to pour this right out onto some parchment. I've got foil underneath here. Sorry. But can you see that? And it's going to sizzle and carry on. But I've got to let it cool because I don't want it to cook the egg that's in my mixture. But look at that. I'm so excited. Some of them got really brown in the process of that. So I want a bite right now, but I'm going to wait. See, you can see the strands of sugar. Yum. That piece shall be mine. Pretty sure. Let's just take that with a toothpick. Oh, yeah. And it's got just strands of sugar. Yum. Okay. Oh, my. Yeah. I want this spread out to a single layer. That is delicious. Oh, my gosh. Okay, I have to have one more. I told you there was going to be some loss. Okay. So let's get the batter mixed up, and this should be just about ready, cooled off enough that we can put that in there. Okay, so we're ready to rock and roll here. I want to get in my dish 2 cups, and this is my standard recipe for cornbread. 2 cups of all-purpose flour. 1 cup of cornmeal of your choice. And oh, yeah. Okay. And I need my can opener because, well, we've got a can of cream corn that's going in this. You have to have it. I'm so sorry, but you got to have that. And the Spam part of it is a little bit different because you've got to separate the Spam by hand. So you want to keep it warm. You don't want it to get too cold. So what we're going to do, before we put any wet ingredients, we're going to get this mixed up. And I've got my Danish dough whisk here. If you don't have one of these, you need this in your kitchen for batter, for starting bread, any of that. It's so nice to have. So you're going to want to get your baking powder, and you want 2 pretty heaping teaspoons of baking powder. Again, these are my 4 jars. My link is down below, and there's a coupon code or discount code. 4 jars has given me a code for you guys. If you, when you check out, whether you're buying canning lids, anything canning, or anything you need for your kitchen, you're going to want to put in Linda's Pantry, all one word, and you will get 10% off your complete order. Now I'm gonna do salt, a full teaspoon of kosher salt. If you were using fine salt, I'd use a half a teaspoon. We've got candy going in here, some Cowboy candy, so we got to be a little bit careful, but we'll wait on that. We'll wait on the wet stuff. Let's get our candied spam over here next. Next to the party comes the candied spam. So I've kept it a little bit warm, and you're just going to get messy fingers. That's all there is to it. What I want to do is drop in piece by piece and cover them, so then they are incorporated. See what I'm doing? Because otherwise they stick together. You're going to have a bazillion chunks. They will stick together, and you won't have them separate. It'll be just a big wad of spam. So, it's a little tedious, but hey, it'll be worth it, right? That way, each piece gets coated, and it won't it's not going to be a mess. So that's all we're doing right now, separating the spam into the flour mixture and salt, baking soda, or baking powder, sorry. Baking powder, not baking soda. And oh, this is just going to be so decadent. I'm excited. We've already tasted a bunch of this. It's addicting. I think anything sweet and savory is kind of addicting, in my opinion. Okay, now toss again. And I'm going to be using all of this spam, so, oh, there we go. Drop it in. Drop it in. Mary Ellen's video yesterday was delicious. If you haven't seen that, you'll want to go over and watch that. She did appetizers, and they looked so good. Bacon wrapped and with a sauce, and plus she's got a I Love Spam t-shirt on. What? I don't have one of those. Darn it. Okay, let's get this going here. And we're just going to keep moving on this. And next will be the Cowboy. Now all the spam is in here. Oh, okay. Now we can start adding some wet ingredients. And I usually do 2 tablespoons of honey, but I'm probably only going to do a tablespoon because, well, there's all that brown sugar. So we'll do a tablespoon of honey, a whole can of cream corn, because you have to have it, 2 eggs, and I'm very brave. Nope, didn't drop a shell. And one of these eggs, one's kind of medium and one's small. If you had large eggs, definitely use a large, or just use one in this recipe. Super easy, and an easy recipe to remember. And then, there we go. Buttermilk, because I don't think cornbread is okay unless we have buttermilk. And buttermilk cornbread, it's the best. I'm going to have some buttermilk and some Cowboy candy going in. We want a full cup of buttermilk. If you don't have buttermilk, you can use regular milk. It won't be as good. I'm just saying. My cast iron is heating up. It's actually ready, and I've got a fair amount of bacon grease in the cast iron. So I'm going to put about 4 ounces of Cowboy candy instead of the full 8 ounces, just so it's not the king of the mixture. It is an additive. That's sweet and tangy. Okay. Got that. Now we're just going to take this dough whisk and get it whisk up. Break your yolks and get this all together. And we'll get this in those hot pans here in a second. And it's going to be a batter, so don't expect it to be dry. Don't expect it to be super wet. It's going to be thicker than pancake batter, obviously, and it's chunky. So we just want to make sure we get the eggs all incorporated. And you could beat the eggs first, but really don't have to. It's going to, once you get all this going, you're good to go. And so this way, when you get the Spam all floured, you're actually coating it and it'll stay suspended in your cornbread. And you don't have to bring it to that hard of a tackiness. I just really like that candy on there. So we're going to put this together. Okay, now it's time to get it over to where we can get it in the pans. Okay. And baking isn't baking unless you're making a mess. Okay, pans are hot. There's hot bacon grease in there. I'm going to probably split this between these two. Oh, look at that sizzle. Yes, please. I don't want my pan to overflow, so can you see that? That is going to give you that crispy texture around the edges that we all know and love. Okay, and then this pan over here, same thing. Don't touch your pan, whatever you do. Yum. Because it's going to rise up because of the baking powder. So, okay, get your bowl cleaned out. Got your cornbread. Okay, looks good. And back in the oven they go. All right, let's get these back in. And I've got this in a 450-degree oven. I'm going to knock it down to 400. The preheating is different, so I'll knock this down to 400 right now. And we will bake that until a toothpick in the center comes out clean. Okay, so the cornbread is done, and I usually have it a loftier cornbread filling the pan. And next time for this recipe, what I'll do is I will add, I've got these little small casserole bread or casserole dishes or bread pans. I'll put it in there and I'll make this a little bit loftier. And that way we don't have this going on. But oh my gosh, we just had dinner and we just tasted this. And look at, this is a cross section cut of this. Oh, what? That is magic. So you got the jalapeno, you've got your candied Spam, and it's still warm. I'm gonna put some butter on it. And oh, and we put honey on it, but I'm gonna taste it for you without the honey. But oh yeah, my husband said it was divine. And this outer part, just like in this, the outer crust is crusty because of the bacon fat, that you heat up in the pan, and it sizzles and really seals that cornbread in. So you get this delicious. First off, we were both like, we never got cornbread like this when we were kids. The Cowboy candy, I'm glad I didn't put any more. It's perfect. There's a little bit of you can get that background heat and a little bit of a tang from the syrup that it's in. But, oh, it's so good. And then, when you're lucky enough to get a piece of, let me hold on. Let me see if I can get this up here. Candied Spam. Oh my gosh. It's a burst of a brown sugar, sweet and salty burst. That's all I can say. It's so good on its own. You add honey to this and it's divine, as my husband said. It's moist. Moist, cakey. And I'm going to confess, I felt like I should have added oil to the batter, but because I have all the, I had the oil from the corn or the Cowboy, the Spam. I can't talk. The Spam. I'm speechless over this. And the bacon fat in around the pan. I don't know. I just forgot to put any oil in there, and you don't need it. I think the cream corn replaces that. It's kind of like using applesauce instead of oil. It's moist, it's cakey, it's sweet. There's enough honey in there. And you even get a little salty bite. It's the perfect cornbread. I am going to tell you, I am so glad I made this. And we're going to share this, but I'm not sure how much he's going to let me share. He really liked it. All right, guys. I can't wait to see you next time. Go watch all the Spamtember videos. They're absolutely amazing. You're going to love it, and you're going to find new ways to use Spam, just in case. I took this to work, and it was a huge hit, so I highly recommend it.